Hello, Jim Howard here in Fort Worth, Texas. Today's date, it is March 14th of 2023. I just had some baked beans for breakfast. I was up most of the last night, up and down. Uh, the bed is kind of oh, there's my cat waking up a little bit. The cat hasn't felt very secure or whatever with workers outside painting on the building, although they're not doing it today very much on the apartment complex. But then the trash truck comes very early in the morning, like 5 a.m. It varies sometimes, like 5 a.m. in the morning, and it makes tremendous amount of noise. It's not so much the trash truck that comes up for this apartment complex, but we're at the back of the apartment complex, and there's a big fence, but there are trash containers right there, so it comes in, and it's kind of scary to our cat, so she's been on the bed, and I I turned my electric blanket on a little bit, threw it over her when I got out of bed. So she's enjoying that. Um, see what's going on around here. Uh, I just installed again over over the years. I've installed well, a whole bunch of different. I've tried all. I usually have two or three of them going, which is kind of a mess. That's not. Um, let's see. This is. I just installed again Mailbird, and let's see here. Just installed Mailbird again, and a long time. I think I'm not sure if it when it started or if it had been gone. I can't remember. A long time ago, I installed Mailbird, and I liked the looks of it a lot. And I forget exactly the details of if it was free or if during the time that I used it, then they went to pay if you were a business. I can't remember all the changes that I've seen happen to Mailbird, but I went ahead and then I uninstalled it. It may be that it doesn't. Maybe it doesn't run on a Chrome. I don't know all the details of it, but I like it. I like the way it's clean. I like the way it looks, and uh, so I decided to install it again. So I installed it again, and then right away, it popped up and as if it was going to be, charging me. But I entered my information, and it then started pulling everything up. And then I went to, the whatever the setting is there, menu or whatever it was, and went down, and it showed that I had, free service until the end of the year. But also, I went and checked to see how many. Um, you pick how many employees you have or something, and of course I just put in one. And it may be that it's still free um, if you're just one person. But if you want, of course, to have uh, a business or something, then of course, that's where they'd make their money if you added, 10 employees, 20, 30, whatever. So it may be that I'm just going to get to use it until the end of the year. I mean, I wouldn't mind, of course, and I think I did in the past. If they do at some point charge, if it's a reasonable amount of money, I'm sure I probably paid in the past, and I'll probably pay again. I've paid for several other that are still probably in effect, you know, mail programs, but Mailbird looks really, really nice. Uh, I'm still waiting. It sure takes a long time to get something from. I haven't ordered from eBay in a long time. I knew when I ordered it. I ordered a couple of inexpensive books because of my new cell phone, and it's so complicated that um, I'm willing to pay it. And I looked at, and there's a whole bunch of um, YouTube sites where they take you, you know, through everything. But I'd rather have a book that I could, go to the page, put a bookmark in there that I could highlight it and that type of stuff. The one thing I want to do, which will help me out with this cell phone a lot, and with my YouTube videos, is that I can have a picture or anything or a video on here, and then instead of having to save it and then drag it over, or well, that wouldn't be a problem. But what you're able to do is just, instead of having a message sent to me, make a video and then send a message to me with it attached, whatever. With this, you can just drag it or point it that you want it to go to your Windows computer, and it'll do it. Well, I haven't figured out how to do that yet. Well, I did figure out how to do it, but then I discovered, whoops, in order to set that up, you need Q code thing where you snap it, with a camera, and the Q code thing wasn't on this. When I made a mistake when I set this up. Well, my daughter gave it to me for my birthday, and she wanted to make sure that so she was right here, and I know she's busy. So I didn't transfer my stuff over from my old cell phone. And then, without thinking, I gave my old cell phone, I formatted it. Actually, I had him format it. And then I gave him my old Pixel 4a. And then I lost all those things that were on there, I think. Well, I know I lost what was on there. But they might have been stored. Those things might still be stored someplace. I don't know. But I'm waiting. So anyway, I finally found how to get the Q code thing on here now. So I have it on there. So what I could have done if I'd had that then was just do that, and I'd have been set up, and then I could make a YouTube or make a video on here or a picture, and then just put it right over, just drag it right over onto my Windows computer, Windows 11 computer. I think that there's going to be a new update to Windows. Let's see, wait a minute, is this Monday? No, this is Monday. I think on Tuesday there'll be a new update to Windows 11 that some people will get. Oh, anyway, I said my desk was a disaster, and it is. For years, I've felt the need to get some of these pictures and put them someplace, and make some, maybe make some YouTube videos that I incorporate some of family pictures and things like that. Here's one, which that's me when I was in grade school, and it's at St. Vincent's Catholic school, in Kansas City, Missouri. And this was a grotto that they had then, and I just happened to have a picture of me standing in front of it. Well, this was like in 1955, and the Catholic Church actually, my father went to, and his, 6 or 7 brothers and 3, 4 sisters, I think it was. I can't remember now. That's why I wanted to get these things, online. That's where he, went to grade school, the entire Howard family. And my father went to grade school with Oscar Huber, his friend. They were in the Boy Scouts together and everything. Oscar Huber and my father went to Conception Seminary to become priest when they graduated from St. Vincent's. And my father changed his mind and left the seminary, and Oscar Huber went on to become a Catholic priest. He went on to be the pastor at St. Vincent's, church and grade school. And then he went down to, and I'm not sure exactly of his entire, he went down to Dallas, Texas, and he was the priest that was outside of the hospital that John F. Kennedy was taken to when he was shot and assassinated. And he is the priest the world was waiting, for, how was John F. Kennedy? I was I was watching television at that time. I was sitting there also and watching, and you wonder, are you pessimistic or are you optimistic? When I heard the details as this thing developed, I was thinking, well, because I was listening to shortwave radio, and I was listening to WRUL radio, a shortwave broadcast station that their studios and everything were in New York City, but of course their transmitters weren't in, And that was the radio station that carried my weekly DX program that I did that was broadcast around the world over shortwave radio. I wasn't listening to my program. I was just listening to the station, to music, and to the news and stuff. And then I was sitting there, and they broke in, that there were reports that shots had been fired at President Kennedy's motorcade in Dallas, Texas. And I hadn't been following the news enough. I didn't know he was in Dallas, Texas. And when I heard that, I thought, God damn, he shouldn't have gone to Dallas, Texas, because of the political situation back then, which was different than what it is now, but it was still, Stuart Symington, who ran for president, on the Democratic Party a number of times. And I forget if he was Secretary of State or what position he held in the Kennedy administration then. But he had gone down to Dallas, Texas, a short time before that, and he wasn't attacked with a gun or anything like that, but hostile people. Upset cowboys, I guess. And it looked bad for a little bit. And I guess we knew that he had come back and told the president and others, don't go to Dallas, Texas, if you're a Democrat. And then somebody else, I think a military officer, there had been another situation. So anyway, right away I'm thinking, God, I didn't know he was, and I'm listening to the radio. Well, immediately I switched to television, and I was thinking, I didn't know he was in. Why did he go there? And so then I'm not sure if you'd asked me then, are you, optimistic or are you pessimistic? But I must basically be maybe be an optimist, because I was thinking, well, he was in the motorcade and shots were fired, and sure he's been taken to the hospital, but, you know, and then his reports were coming out. Well, you know, little, not much information was coming out. And I think then they might have said, you know, I think that might have come out that he had been wounded and he was being worked on or something like that. And I was thinking, well, he'll be okay, you know, hopefully. But then Oscar Huber, who my father and him were, you know, the Hubers were a Catholic family in the St. Vincent's parish. My father was, you know, Catholic and went to St. Vincent's, and they had, you know, my father had brothers and sisters so they, you know, my father and Oscar Huber were same class or something like that. But then, of course, there was other, you know, connections because of they lived in the same neighborhood. They played together. They were in the Boy Scouts together and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, Father Huber came out, and I didn't know he would been transferred from St. Vincent's to Dallas, Texas. He came out and then said, the news media said, you know, how is the president? And he said, I gave the last rites to him, and he, you know, passed away. That's not an exact quote, but, you know. And so then the world knew. Anyway, I got these pictures, and I've been trying to, I want to put these pictures on YouTube. In the past, I thought, well, you know, tell some stories and put some pictures to go with it that you know that I have. Well, now I think I've come to realize, you know, it doesn't matter, but I still want to do it. I don't think that it matters the way the world is going and the way things change, and then in a few years, I don't know, you know, YouTube will be, you know, if it's still there, it'll be different. So I don't think it's that important now, but I still want to do it. Here's Huber and my father, September 1st of 1927. There's maybe I should go, because I've got that thing at the top there. But I'd say there's quite a difference in size. My father being the shorter one there. But I'm sure they were in the same grade. Of course, I guess they didn't have to, well, no, I saw, in fact, I don't know where it is now, but I have their school graduation picture someplace. Anyway, September 1st, 1927. And here's a picture of scout camp in Knoll, Missouri that they both went to. But of course, it probably wasn't just those two, you know, from the family. Probably the Hugo family. Probably they had other, you know, and maybe some of my father's brothers also went to. I also, before I left Kansas City to go to Orlando, Florida, years ago, after 2000, I had to get rid of a bunch of stuff. Stuff that I didn't want to, but nobody wanted it. I had their scout, my father's scout thing that went around the neck. You know, that you, whatever, and they were, when I was in the Scouts, it was small. This one was like this. And I had to throw it away. Here is the seminary my father and Huber went to in Missouri. And I haven't got all the pictures together, so Uh, Here's a picture of the seminary with someone, and I don't know. I'm not sure. It's not my It's not my father, because, well, one, it doesn't look like him, even though it's. But it says here, James, have you seen this picture? Please send it back. Taken in March of 1928. So there are some other pictures. Back to this uh, grotto. Some years back, I don't know whether it was on Facebook or what site it was on, but there was somebody who was hired. Oh, anyway, St. Vincent's Church, a Catholic church. Some years back, a French cardinal objected to the monetization. Not, it sounds like money. No, that the changes that the Catholic Church made. It didn't make very many, but one was that masses could be in the local language instead of having to be in Latin. And there was a few other minor changes, and this French cardinal objected to it. He was, the Pope, they had a conversation, I guess, with each other, a meeting, a whole bunch of stuff going on for a long time, trying to straighten things out. And then finally, the French cardinal, well, he wouldn't say that he left the Catholic Church, because he thought that he was the Catholic Church, and that the Pope, and that the whatever they called it, that they had the meeting, that the changes made that went against the Catholic Church. So he broke away. He wouldn't say broke away. He'd say the other, and it turned out that his group purchased St. Vincent's Church from the Catholic Church. Well, I'm not sure if the Catholic Church probably would not have. I think the St. Vincent's Church probably just I don't think it was sitting there idle, so I'm not sure how that worked. But anyway, that order, the group, I forget what it's called. I have no problem with it. Well, I'm not a practicing Catholic. And I left the Catholic Church. It had nothing to do with their problems with pedophiles in the church and things like that, things like that. And that wasn't a problem. My problem was my problem actually, I remember now, was more political. It was like the Catholic Bishops Association here in the United States, very politically conservative, right wing. And I wouldn't have cared about that. I'd expect, like they were, the bishops are like, what do they call them? Princes of the church. And they live, like that. I mean, not all of them do, depending on what country you're into and things like that. But they live in a large house. Of course, they need a large house to entertain people, and stuff. But they live, and then they meet, occasionally, the Catholic bishops of the United States, and discuss things, and then they put out some type of ruling. I mean, of course they're not separate from the Vatican, or they're supposed to. But the reason I said goodbye to the Catholic Church was that let's see if I can come up with like a Catholic who's a Democrat, and if you're a Catholic, if you're a Catholic, you should be a Democrat. But if a Catholic was running, like John F. Kennedy or someone else, the bishops would maybe get together and make some type of a ruling, like, well, that goes against a Catholic teaching, maybe abortion or birth control or something. They'd make it, and then I don't think the entire bishops organization ever made a condemnation. I can't even talk. Made a ruling, but there would be local, somebody who was running for something. Might go to some city, and the bishop in that city or whatever would say that, well, like they did with, who's our current president? Biden. Biden has been a Catholic, a good Catholic all his life and gone to Mass every Sunday. Now maybe as President of the United States, maybe he can't make it every Sunday, but he still goes, but anyway, when he ran for president here, a bishop and some Catholic bishop in some place where he would, I don't know if it was wouldn't be his hometown, but when he was out probably, electioneering, going from place to place, the bishop said, well, he's not welcome and he shouldn't have communion in a church in this diocese or whatever. Of course, there's a lot of Catholic churches, so it wouldn't have been a problem, but it wasn't that event. I had left the Catholic Church before that, but it's that type of a thing, to hell with these rich, bishops ruling on something like that. So that's my reason for leaving. Or it might have been that I was a Catholic my entire life. I was even, here I am as an altar boy. Here I am with my mother and father, 1948, my first Holy Communion. There I am with my father's mother out in her backyard, my first Holy Communion. Okay, now look at this, 1950, okay, right? That's me with my altar boy's cassock on. Take a good look. I was a cute kid. No Catholic priest molested me, so that's the main reason I told them, to take a walk. I'm joking, by the way. Well, not about leaving the church, but so what else is going on? Still got a cat laying on my bed, wanting to be petted though. Every once in a while she wants to be petted. My room is still a mess. I just don't have enough room, and I've given a bunch of stuff away. I went out today. I took a letter to the mailbox, which is next to the apartment office here, and I almost fell a few times. I already showed you these shoes. Well, here they are. But you just can't. Do I have a tape measure laying on this desk? No, I do not. Well, wait a minute, I do have. Not a tape measure, but because Okay, this is about 13 inches. I had to have these, the other one, they came in different sizes. You could order. So I got one large and one medium or whatever. But I got them because my feet were so swollen and my legs were so swollen. But then I lost about 90 pounds or whatever. And now the swelling has gone down. Now my legs are still, I think I told you in several videos that you were never going to see my legs or feet because they look so gross. Anyway, I lost a whole bunch of weight. I lost it there, but I still have bad circulation. But anyway, with these, I've got to get me, I couldn't get any other shoes that would fit. No regular shoes would fit me. Now I've lost weight. And I looked on YouTube and about how to, because I ordered in the past as my feet were swollen and that type of thing. About 3 different times I ordered shoes and none of them fit. I didn't return any of them, but tried to give them away. I mean, they were brand new, but my son didn't want them. No, but I don't think anybody wanted them. I think I just finally ended up tossing them. I think. But anyway, I went out today to the mailbox to mail something. Oh, mailing it, by the way, to Fred, who I went to St. Vincent's grade school with, and then we went to De La Salle Military Academy, a Catholic high school, together. And I just mailed him something. I've mentioned him before. Not his last name. In case he's watching us, not his last name or anything. And then he went there, and his sisters went. I don't know how many sisters he had. I never met his sisters, but they went there too. Anyway, I just sent him anyway, they moved out of town, and so he couldn't graduate from De La Salle Military Academy, and he was devastated by that. Because he wanted to make like I did. He wanted to make a career in the military, in the Marine Corps, because his stepfather, I think, was in the Marine Corps. I know he was in the, it was either his father or his stepfather who were in the Marine Corps. But anyway, they moved, and so a big regret in his life, so I had just sent him a packet of stuff, so he didn't graduate from De La Salle. And he went on to, into the Marine Corps, and then he went on to get him a PhD. But then I sent him some stuff a week or so ago, a big packet of stuff that I had from De La Salle, newsletters, alumni stuff, all that kind of stuff, sent it to him. Anyway, something else just came. I didn't think I'd ever be sending anything to him because they did away with sending out a alumni newsletter. Well, they did send out a alumni thing, which they do every year, announcing when they were having their yearly thing. I never went to any of those, and I didn't care about De La Salle. Well, I went for the military, and then of course the military wouldn't take me. They were pretty smart, weren't they? And but anyway, he has a real love for the school, and so. But anyway, years ago at some point, I, looked up De La Salle. Well, one thing I did, I think all of us, maybe this is something worldwide, or maybe it's just the United States or something. Parents tell their kids, "Oh, you kids got it so easy. I had to walk 25 miles through blizzards and up mountains and across rivers to get, And well, of course, I didn't do that, but I thought, because I went first to Holy Name School, And then for the 5th and 6th, and well, the 6th and 7th grade at that time were combined. So it was 2 years that I went to St. Vincent's. But I thought, remembering back as a kid, well, I wasn't that young, but remembering back, I thought, yeah, I walked a long distance through the snow, and I remember going through like snow drifts and all that kind of stuff. And now, finally with Google, I was someplace, I don't know where I was, and I thought, I can go to Google Maps, and I did, and I can see just how far I walked when I went to school. I forget what it was. I guess I need to do it again. Maybe I'll do it again and put the mileage below. And I won't do it today, but maybe I'll do it and do it again because it wasn't that far. But as a little kid, you think it is longer than it was. Oh. Anyway, at some time in the past, the group that broke away, well, they wouldn't say they broke away, they would swear up and down they didn't break away from the Catholic Church, but had problems with the church and separated themselves. They wouldn't say that either. They purchased St. Vincent's. I went there after they purchased it and attended Mass. And it was Catholic. I mean, it was Latin. It was just the way I remember it. The church was, the same church. And out there where I was in the choir but told not to sing because I couldn't sing, and where Father Oscar Huber shoved me into a wall or whatever. He didn't hurt me. I told you that story. Where there, when I went to school there, you had to, for lunch, you could go to the school cafeteria or you could go home. That was it. You had two choices. But I decided that there was another choice, and that was across the street on the corner there at a drugstore. And I went in and was having a chili dog and a malt, I think it was, every day for lunch. And then one day I was sitting there. I think somebody ratted me out. I was sitting there and I could look out the window and I saw the nun coming, the principal of St. Vincent's with her robe, with her robe on and with her long beads, clanking and coming, and I saw her coming and I knew where she was coming, and she came in and grabbed me by the ear and pulled me all the way up to the church where Oscar Huber was a pastor, and said he left us, he hasn't been going home for lunch. Of course, there was no reason for me to go home. There wasn't anybody at home. But so anyway, he kind of shoved me into the wall, and I kind of wondered, he knew who I was. I mean, we never talked. I mean, I never said, hey, you went to school, and I wouldn't, wasn't necessary or anything, but he didn't hurt me, so I kind of wonder, hey, did he take it easy? Because, my dad and him were in the Boy Scouts together and all that kind of stuff, or did he not take it easy, Now, of course, after that happening, and I had been told that I have to, go to the cafeteria or go home, what did Jimmy do? Well, I didn't go across the street to that. I went the other direction towards home. I got about halfway home, and there was a donut shop there. So for lunch every day, I was having glazed donuts and ice-cold root beer in bottles, glass bottles. That all tasted so good, and I never got caught. That'd have been a venial sin anyway, wouldn't it? I'm joking. Anyway, back to this. Anyway, I also looked up at some point, when the church was taken over, they hired in a a man. I'm not sure if man and his wife were hired in, or if it was just him doing it and she was helping out or whatever. But he appeared to be, I think he had, I'm not sure if he had aspirations to be a priest and then changed his mind. But he had, you know, college and degree or degrees or something like that. A very smart guy, apparently. And so he was, you know, doing what he could to make the parish and the church and everything successful. And so he was posting to someplace. This was a long time ago. Well, but the internet existed. And he was posting, and he mentioned that, he says, there used to be a grotto out by the church, I'm told, and it's not there anymore, and I'd like to, you know, set it up or whatever. Does anybody have any? And so I sent him the picture of it. I think I sent him another picture because I have this one, which is dated August of 1955. I graduated from grade school in 1955. So I sent him a picture, and I told him, they were starting a thing to put on the wall at the school and that kind of stuff, and I sent him several items. I can't remember what they were. I think my father's graduation certificate. I think the picture I think I sent that of whatever class my father was in, and that type of stuff. And I said, you don't need to return it, you know, to me. So I'm not sure if they. I didn't keep following that thing. It looks like this guy and his wife, who's their entire thing. I think he's doing other stuff, but I think he still has his, you know, fingers in helping out. But he probably needed a job where he could make some real money. I'm sure they were paying him a little something, but they couldn't afford to pay very much, I'm sure. Okay. Thank you very much for watching. Please help out however you can here. You know, thumbs up. Subscribe. Hit the little bell button so you'll get it. Whatever. Thank you very much for watching. DD's still sleeping.